Welcome back my YouTube channel. Discipline starts when motivation dies, because motivation is never meant to last. It's a spark, not the fire. You feel it when you hear a great speech, watch a powerful video, or read an inspiring quote. For a few moments, everything feels possible. You want to change your life, chase your dreams, hit the gym, build the business. But then real life shows up. You're tired, you're busy, you don't feel like it. And just like that, motivation disappears. That's when most people quit. Not because they can't do it, but because they expected motivation to carry them through, but it never will. That's where discipline steps in. Discipline isn't flashy. It doesn't care how you feel. It doesn't wait for the perfect time. It's showing up because you said you would. It's doing the thing when no one is watching, when there's no applause, when everything in your body tells you to stop. Discipline is the decision to act, not because you're inspired, but because you're committed. It's brushing your teeth at night because it matters for your health. It's writing the page when you're not in the mood. It's making the call, taking the step, putting in the reps, even when your feelings say no. Motivation is emotional. Discipline is intentional. Motivation is about wanting. Discipline is about doing. It doesn't rely on external triggers. It builds internal strength. It creates habits that eventually become part of your identity. You don't need to feel ready when you're disciplined. You just start. You don't need perfect energy. You don't need a pump-up playlist. You just do the work because the work matters. Because your future is worth the effort now, even if the reward isn't instant. Most people live their lives chasing motivation. They wait to feel inspired, then wonder why they never finish anything. They think successful people must be more motivated, more passionate, more naturally driven. But the truth is, successful people have trained themselves to act without needing motivation. They've built systems, routines, and habits. They've turned discipline into a lifestyle. They know that emotions are unreliable and they don't let them run the show. When the alarm goes off and it's cold outside, motivation won't get you out of bed, but discipline will. When you've failed 3 times already and doubt creeps in, motivation will vanish, but discipline keeps you steady. When progress is slow, when no one is cheering, when results are invisible, motivation goes quiet. Discipline stays loud. It tells you to keep going anyway. It reminds you of your goals when you forget. It anchors you when everything feels shaky. You won't always feel like doing the hard thing. You won't always want to take action, but that doesn't mean you shouldn't. That's the exact moment when growth begins. When you show up tired, when you show up annoyed, when you show up uncertain, that's when discipline is built. That's when character is formed. That's when you prove to yourself that you're not ruled by moods or moments. Your future is hiding behind your daily excuses because every time you choose comfort over commitment, you're choosing to delay the life you say you want. The dreams, goals, and vision you carry in your mind aren't waiting in some distant future. They're buried beneath your habits, your stories, and the reasons you keep telling yourself for not starting today. Excuses sound reasonable. They feel justified. I'm too tired. I don't have time. I don't know where to start. But the truth is, these are walls you've built to protect yourself from discomfort, from failure, from uncertainty. And the longer you keep those walls up, the longer your future stays hidden behind them. Every excuse is a decision to stay the same, a decision to prioritize ease over progress, a decision to settle for what's familiar instead of stepping into what's possible. And what most people don't realize is how small excuses compound. Skipping one workout turns into skipping a week. Delaying one task becomes months of inaction. Procrastinating on one goal leads to abandoning it entirely. It's not about the one excuse. It's about the habit of making them. That habit becomes your lifestyle. That lifestyle becomes your identity, and your identity shapes your destiny. You can't grow and protect your comfort zone at the same time. Growth requires confrontation with your fears, your laziness, your doubts, your distractions. Every time you choose the excuse over the effort, You're saying no to the version of yourself that could exist if you just pushed through. You're saying no to the discipline, the skills, the confidence, the success that are waiting on the other side of action. Excuses are sneaky because they often come disguised as logic. I need more time. I need more clarity. I need to wait until things calm down. But what you really need is to get out of your own way. You don't lack time. You're just not managing it. You don't lack clarity. You're just avoiding the discomfort of starting without a perfect plan. You don't need things to calm down. You need to learn how to move forward in chaos. Life is always going to be messy. The people who succeed aren't the ones who waited for the ideal moment. They're the ones who moved in spite of the mess. The version of you that gets up early, sticks to the plan, builds discipline, and follows through isn't unreachable. It's already inside you, waiting. But you can't access that version until you stop justifying the choices that keep you small. You can't become that version until you stop defending your limitations. Your potential is bigger than your patterns. But you have to stop protecting those patterns with excuses. W. Comfort zones kill potential because they keep you operating in a space where everything feels familiar, easy, and safe, but nothing extraordinary happens there. Growth doesn't come from repeating what you've already mastered. It comes from stepping into what you don't yet understand, from trying things that stretch you, challenge you, scare you. Comfort feels good in the moment, but it quietly erodes your ambition over time. It convinces you that average is acceptable, that routine is enough, and that the risk of change is too high. The danger of the comfort zone is that it doesn't feel dangerous. It feels like rest, like relief, like stability. But behind that false security is stagnation. You start settling for less without realizing it. You stop setting new goals. You lower your standards. You tell yourself you're fine when deep down, you know you were made for more. The comfort zone doesn't just hold you back. It slowly convinces you that staying there is the right thing to do. It teaches you how to survive, not how to thrive. Potential isn't passive. It doesn't automatically activate with time. You have to choose it again and again in the face of resistance. You have to make decisions that feel uncomfortable. You have to take steps you're not ready for. You have to be willing to be bad at something before you can be good at it. It is until you reach your goals and you see a problem that you have to solve it. That's how growth works. It demands that you trade comfort for progress. The moment you stop pushing your limits is the moment your potential begins to shrink. Every dream you have lives outside your comfort zone. Every breakthrough, every transformation, every version of you that is stronger, smarter, more capable, it all exists beyond what you already know. And the only way to reach it is to move through the discomfort, to stop waiting until you feel confident, to stop trying to control every outcome, to start doing the things that scare you because fear is usually the gatekeeper to your next level. People often mistake comfort for peace, but true peace doesn't come from avoiding challenges. It comes from knowing you're doing what you were meant to do. It comes from showing up with courage even when it's hard. It comes from living in alignment with your potential, not in protection of your fears. The more you protect your comfort zone, the more you reinforce the idea that you're not capable of more. And the longer you stay there, the harder it becomes to leave. Not because you're weak, but because you've trained yourself to settle. Comfort zones aren't just physical routines, they're mental prisons. They're made of thoughts like, what if I fail? I'm not good enough. Or, this is just how I am. And as long as you believe those thoughts, you'll stay stuck. You'll watch opportunities pass by. You'll see others grow while you stay still. And the sad truth is, you might even convince yourself that you're okay with it. But deep down, there's always a part of you that knows you're capable of more. Micro actions build massive momentum because progress is created by consistent movement, not grand gestures. Most people wait for the perfect moment to make a big change, thinking they need a complete plan, all the answers, or a huge burst of motivation to begin. But that's not how real transformation works. It starts with one small step, one small decision, one 5-minute task done repeatedly. Micro actions may seem insignificant in the moment, but over time they become the building blocks of unstoppable momentum. They chip away at resistance, they reduce overwhelm, they create a rhythm that's hard to break. When you commit to small actions daily, you eliminate the excuse of not having enough time or energy. You stop letting perfectionism paralyze you. You shift from waiting to doing. Instead of overthinking the mountain ahead, you focus on taking one step at a time. And that's where the power lies. Because one step leads to the next. One page turns into a chapter. One push-up turns into a workout. One email leads to a connection. These tiny moves stack up, and suddenly you look back and realize how far you've come. Not because of a giant leap, but because you never stopped moving. Momentum isn't built in a single burst. It's created through repetition. Every time you show up and follow through on a micro action, you send a message to yourself that you're someone who takes action. It reinforces your identity, it builds trust with yourself, and that trust becomes fuel. You stop relying on motivation and start depending on your own consistency. That's how small habits turn into major results. Because once you prove to yourself that you can take action, even when it's small, you remove the fear of starting. Micro actions also lower the barrier to entry. When a task feels too big, your mind creates resistance. You procrastinate, rationalize, and delay. But when you shrink the task into something so simple it feels almost effortless, you bypass that resistance. You don't need willpower to take a single small step. And once you take that step, your brain shifts into motion. It becomes easier to keep going. Action leads to clarity, and clarity fuels more action. That cycle is where momentum is born. What makes micro actions so effective is their compound effect. Just like saving small amounts of money grows into wealth, taking small, consistent steps compounds into massive achievement. Most people underestimate what they can do in a year because they overestimate what they should do in a day. But if you commit to doing something small every single day, the long-term impact is exponential. It's not about how fast you move, it's about not stopping. It's about building the habit of progress. You don't need to change everything overnight. You just need to start with something you can do today and do it without excuses. Then do it again tomorrow. Momentum doesn't come from doing more. It comes from doing enough, consistently. Confidence comes from doing hard things because confidence isn't something you think your way into. It's something you earn. It doesn't come from positive affirmations alone or waiting until you feel ready. It's built through action, especially when that action pushes you beyond what's easy, safe, or familiar. When you choose to face something difficult, something uncomfortable, and you still follow through, you prove to yourself that you're capable. That proof becomes confidence, not in theory, but in lived experience. You stop wondering if you can handle tough situations because you've already done it. You've shown up when it was hard, and that becomes your new reference point. Confidence doesn't come from avoiding failure. It comes from surviving it, from getting knocked down and deciding to stand back up. Every time you take on something challenging, whether it's speaking in front of people, having a difficult conversation, showing up when you're scared, or taking the first step toward a big goal, you build mental muscle. You build trust in yourself. You start to realize that fear doesn't mean stop, it means grow. And that shift in mindset is everything. Because once you stop avoiding the hard things, you start stepping into the person you were meant to become. Doing hard things forces you to stretch. It strips away the lies you tell yourself about not being good enough, smart enough, or ready. It exposes your limits and then expands them. You learn that capability is developed, not gifted, that courage is a choice, not a trait. Every hard thing you do becomes a deposit in your confidence bank. And just like with real savings, small deposits add up. You don't need to climb a mountain to grow. You just need to keep showing up for the tough stuff consistently. Confidence built this way is unshakable. It's not based on compliments, titles, or external validation. It's rooted in effort, in grit, in knowing that you've been through challenges and came out stronger. It's not loud or arrogant. It's calm and grounded. It's the quiet voice in your head that says, I've done this before, I can do it again. Or even, I've never done this before, but I've done hard things before and I'll figure it out. Doing hard things also teaches you that discomfort is temporary, but the growth it brings is permanent. You start to chase challenge instead of run from it. You lean into fear because you know it's the gateway to becoming better. Confidence grows when you do the reps, when you take the hits, when you try, fail, learn, and try again. It's not about perfection, it's about showing up. Again and again, even when it's inconvenient, especially when it's uncomfortable. Confidence doesn't ask for guarantees, it asks for effort. And effort is always within your control. If you wait until you feel confident to do the hard thing, you'll wait forever. Confidence is the result of the hard thing, not the prerequisite. The more hard things you do, the more you expand what you believe is possible. No one's coming. Move anyway. Because waiting for someone to save you, guide you, or push you is a silent form of surrender. It's giving your power away to a future that may never arrive. Most people live their lives expecting a moment, a person, or a sign to give them permission to start. They wait for support, for clarity, for validation. But the truth is, no one is coming to fix your life. No one is coming to drag you out of bed, rewrite your goals, or do the uncomfortable work for you. It's on you. Every step, every decision, every breakthrough starts with you deciding to move without applause, without guarantees, without someone holding your hand. You are the author of your own momentum. And the moment you realize that, no one owes you a wake-up call, you begin to take radical responsibility for your progress. That's when things change. Because the shift from waiting to moving is the foundation of every transformation. It's not about having it all figured out. It's about starting with what you have. It's about trusting that movement creates clarity, and clarity builds confidence. Most people wait because they fear failure. They believe that if someone else leads, the risk is smaller. But the longer you wait, the more stagnant you become. Progress doesn't reward hesitation. Life doesn't wait for you to feel ready. If you want something different, you have to take different actions, even if no one notices at first. Especially when no one notices. That's how internal strength is built. Not through recognition, but through repetition. No one is coming to tell you that your dreams matter. You have to believe that on your own. You have to wake yourself up when the alarm hits. You have to discipline yourself to keep going when it gets hard. You have to hold yourself accountable when no one's watching. The most successful people in the world aren't the ones who had more resources or support. They're the ones who moved forward when it would have been easier to stop. Moving anyway means embracing discomfort. It means starting with shaky steps, imperfect plans, and limited knowledge. It means showing up for your vision when no one claps, when nothing's trending, when it feels like no progress is happening, because that kind of movement is driven by purpose, not praise. It's movement fueled by the decision to grow, not the need to be seen. You build resilience when you move without reassurance. You build confidence when you move through doubt. You build momentum when you take the first step, then another, then another. You don't need to be pushed. You need to push yourself. You don't need a savior. You need self-respect. The moment you stop waiting is the moment you start becoming. The path forward is always created by action, not by waiting for conditions to be perfect or for someone to carry you forward. That responsibility belongs to you, and you are enough to carry it. Thanks for watching.